Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Mountain Harmony Gardening. I'm Kristen, and today we are going to be planting our cold hardy seeds. Normally today, it's Mother's Day, we will be planting our whole entire garden. But unfortunately, it is still too cold at night. It's getting into the low 40s, even into the high 30s, and it is just too cold for some of our more tender plants. But I can plant all of our cold hardy seeds. And what I'm going to be planting today is some of our lettuces, our sunflowers, and also our kale and our Swiss chard. And the first bed that I'm going to be starting with is our long bed here that has our perennialized collard greens and kale. And I saw a little Swiss chard plant back there too. So we're going to be adding to this bed. The first seed that I'm going to plant today is red kale. Now it only needs to be 1/4 of an inch into the soil. So all I'm going to do is move the soil, or the mulch, to expose the soil. And then I'm going to take some of our kale seeds. I'm just going to sprinkle them around in this area. That way I know that some of them will germinate. I'm just going to lightly kind of rough up the soil a little bit to get them into the ground. And just like that. You can also use one of the garden forks, the handheld tools. And then I'm going to cover it back up with our mulch, which is our leaves and a little bit of the shredded red cedar. And then I'm going to just smush it in a little bit. That way they all have good contact with the soil. And that is really wet from all the rain that we've had. Now the next one that I'm going to do is I want to do the Swiss chard, because there is a little tiny Swiss chard plant in the next spot. Now the next seed that we're planting is Swiss chard. And this is the variety that we're planting, which is actually one of those. And we're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to move away all the mulch to expose the soil. And this one is coming off of the base of this other one that we cut back. And its stem is pretty thick. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to sprinkle a couple of them around, just like that. Because these kind of grow like weeds in my garden. And I'm just going to scratch up the soil, mix them in a little bit. Cover them back up. Because the mulch is acting like the soil that you'd be normally burying this down into. Press it down to give it some good contact. And now we have 2 areas completely planted. And I'm just going to alternate between the kale and the Swiss chard all the way down the bed. The next seed that we're going to be planting is sunflower seeds. I really like this red variety and want to try it this year. But I would actually like to get some flowers. So I don't want the squirrels to get to some of these. So I am planting them a little bit further away from the trellis and from the trees so that they can't jump on them from like the trellis. So I'm going to plant them in kind of the further corners of my garden where they're still getting plenty of sunshine, and they will also hopefully not be eaten by all the squirrels. And I will plant a couple for them just so they can have those ones. So this is the first pocket that I'm going to plant in, and it's only 1/2 inch. So I just make a hole 1/2 inch deep And I'm going to put probably 3 seeds in there just to make sure that it germinates. Cover it up. And then once I'm done planting, I will water all of these in. The next seeds that I'm going to be planting are spinach, lettuce, and bok choy. And the reason that I'm doing them in this planter this year is because it's on wheels, so it can move around easily. It's also one of my largest planters, and as the season gets warmer, I can move this more and more into the shade. So I'm hoping that I get a little bit longer season out of all this. So I'm going to just kind of divide this into sections here, like 3 sections, and this is a catnip plant. I never planted a catnip plant in here. I don't know how it got in here. They seem to just spread all over the yard. Kind of funny. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to do is the bok choy, and it's 1/4 of an inch deep. So I'm just going to rough up the soil a little bit. There we go. And they're supposed to be 12 inches apart. So I'm going to more do of a square foot method, and I'm going to plant 3 of them in this little section here, and I'm going to probably harvest them when they're a little bit smaller, and then just cover them up, firm them in on there. Okay. And now we're going to do the outrageous lettuce. And for these lettuces, when they come up, to thin them, you could just put them in a salad. And then you can keep which ones you want to grow into heads, and then the rest of them, you just put into your salad. Kind of like sprouts or microgreens. So I just sprinkle them over the top. And then just rake them lightly into the soil, worm it down. And now we're going to kind of just disturb this section here. And we are going to do the same with the spinach. And same thing. We're just going to sprinkle them on top. And then as you thin them, just put them in your salad. Really good. Kind of getting microgreens out of that. All right. Sprinkle them around. Mix them into the soil a little bit. And then give them a nice good firming down. Spread out the leaves a little bit because they act as some good mulch. Oh. I'm not exactly sure what that is. That might be an old sunflower head. Well, you know what? Or a coxcomb. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's one of the Silosa coxcomb shaped ones. All right. So there are those planted. The next plant that we're going to plant is horseradish. I picked this up at a local greenhouse. Now my poor little rose, which I thought was going to make it, it was looking good up until Groundhog Day. And then the weather completely changed and it got a lot colder for us, killed it off. But this gets to be 24 to 36 inches tall. And when it blooms, it's actually really pretty. So I decided I'm going to put it in here instead. That way we have a little bit of height to this barrel. And I will probably be putting some other plants around the outside. But for now, I'm just going to plant this in here. And the horseradish will be just fine. And another reason I'm also putting it in a planter is because I have to dig this up every year to get to the horseradish part. So I figured it might as well be in a pot. That way I'm not disturbing what's around it. And this soil is already really good because it's already garden soil. Let's take it out of its pot. And you want to kind of disturb the roots. Like that. That way it doesn't keep growing in a, well, square in this case. And that way they'll actually start going down. Okay. Move all the soil back around it. Give it a nice, good firming down. And I have its tag with it, so I know what it is, even though I think I'm pretty sure I'm going to remember what this one is. And there we go. Next, I have some pansies that we can plant. This is a container that had pansies in it last year. And I've been posting pictures on Facebook and Instagram of our beautiful black pansies that we all of a sudden just had. They didn't sprout last year, or at least if they did, they didn't get any flowers. So I'm really excited to see these. These are so pretty. So I've got some other pansies here that we're going to be filling in, but I have other little tiny baby pansies sprouting everywhere. So I want those to come back too, because it could be some more of our black pansies. And I just use a butter knife to pop these out. And then I move the soil a little bit and I push them on in. There we go. And I know these are pretty small. I haven't been exactly as impressed with my seedlings this year, and I think I know why. I think it's the soil combination didn't quite work, and I really probably should get some different garden lights, because I don't think they worked as well as I wanted them to this year. I need to get a better setup. I need a bigger house with a garage and a real greenhouse. That way I could just grow in there instead. And I think Donnie would probably appreciate a garage too, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. All right, so I'm just going to kind of randomly place these in here, and these have been growing through our really cold weather, and pansies usually are pretty cold hardy. So I'm going to go ahead and just put these outside. I know that they'll be fine. If all these are sprouting, these other guys will be fine too. And I've been hardening them off as we go too. So this will be the pansy planter. And also I can move this around into more shade as needed as the season goes on, because the pansies will not like the heat. All right, a couple more to go. Oh, this one's a good size one. That's good. That's a really good one. I think I'll stick this one in the middle. There we go. And I'm just going to stick their tag in there so I do not lose it for next year. Wow, there are a lot of pansies in here. I'm starting to run out of space. All right. And this is the last one. I think I will get in right there. Okay. So now all of our pansies are planted. This is the catnip plant that I dug up when we redid this bed, because I want to make sure that Lola and Socks still had their catnip plant. I think Lola would have been pretty upset with me if I didn't have her catnip plant here. And the original one is buried in this area right here, and it has not come up. I do have some sprouts here too, but I just wanted a little bit of insurance that we still kept the garden cats happy. So I'm going to go ahead and plant this, because this has actually been outside the whole entire time after I transplanted it into this little pot. So I don't have to worry about the weather for this one. Oh, look at that. Look at those roots. All right, that's awesome. Now I could just put this back in, take some of that soil. And there we go. Now I ensure that we have a happy garden cat. Well, that was really fun getting some of the plants actually planted in the garden when I should be planting all of what you see and what you don't see that's in the camera shot today. But I'm hoping that next weekend I will be able to plant all of this. And then I will also be doing another video showing you how I plant everything that's here. Probably a couple videos. This is a lot. So thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. And check out all of our other videos that have a whole bunch of knowledge on them for you. Happy gardening, everyone.